Now, hey guys, how's everybody doing today? Got a video for you here today. We're gonna do not necessarily a demo on the calls themselves, but we're gonna do a video on when to do certain calls and what calls I've come to know seem to work best for the situation. All right guys, let's get to it. All right, now first call up, we're gonna go with when you first get out to the woods really early in the morning before daybreak and you're trying to listen for any activity coming from the birds. For me, in the morning, I'll take my owl call. Now, this is almost like a turkey alarm clock. You want to use this right when the sun is just starting to light up the woods and there's a little bit of daylight to where you can see maybe 100 yards when you're in the woods. Now, if you're hunting a field and you can see more of the field than in the woods, you could still go ahead and use this call, but pretty much what you'll do is you'll give this a call. This is basically waking the turkeys up in the morning, and you can also chime in with a diaphragm call or a low, really low call on a slate or box call. So it's just a quick hit on the owl call, and this is typically what you do in the morning to wake the birds up. All right guys, simple enough. Owl calls are not that hard to learn, but there's one thing you can do in the morning to kind of wake the birds up and get them on the ground. All right, and our next situation is once you hear a bird gobble in the morning, you don't want to call to him right away. You want to listen and try and estimate how far away he is, and if it's pretty far out there and you want to try and draw him in quick, for me, I'd recommend using a box call. Box calls, you can usually get the volume to go pretty far out, even though you can do that with a diaphragm call because you're vocalizing the call. But the box call to me seems to work really good in the morning. So right when you get the birds awake, you hear one gobble maybe 300 yards out, just like I said, simple enough. I'm also going to do, if you guys want, later in the video, just drop some comments, and hopefully closer to the season I'll be doing some more intros on using all these individual calls. So just, like I said, drop some comments in the end and see which ones you want to learn how to use. Alright, so after that, once you get a bird to respond, so once you use the box call and you hear the bird respond to you, what you're going to want to do is try and get set up. And the calls that I'd recommend from this point on would be a slate call like this one here, which you guys have seen in my friction call tips. I did this video back in about December. Use a friction call because there is very little movement when using this call. So when you're in your position, you want to make as little movement as possible so turkeys can't spot you. And when it comes to hunting, I think turkey have probably the best eyes versus a deer, and they can see color and they can really tell if you move and they know that it's not right, they will take off. But use a slate call, or if you get familiar with them, go ahead and throw in a diaphragm call. Diaphragm calls to me are the least movement, because if you're hunched down in your position and you have your gun up and that bird's 100 yards out and you can see him moving through the trees, when you have this in your mouth, give me a second. But when you got this bird coming in, you want to make as little movement as possible to keep drawing him in. The diaphragm is the least, uses the least motion to make the call. You're not moving your hands. If anything, you can put your hand to your mouth just to get the sound to push somewhere else. Now, you can see in this video my face moving, but if you have a full head, you have a head net on that goes over your nose, nothing's going to be able to see your chin moving. Now, your hand, don't move it too much, just move it a little bit to kind of push the sound from going straight to your bird and pushing it off to the side so it seems like it's moving away from him to try and pull him in closer. Right. Now, bird has come in, you have him close. Say he's within your pattern range for how far you can reach with your shotgun or bow, depending on what you're doing. What you're going to want to do is you don't want to shoot the bird typically when he's all roughed up, when he's strutting. I mean, you can, but you can really pepper the meat and then you'll be digging BBs out of your dinner. So what you want to do is whenever your bird comes in, say he is strutting, again, you can use a little hit. A little hit on your slate call, a little hit on your diaphragm. You do that, it'll make the gobbler, usually it'll make him stop, he'll pop his head up. When he pops his head up, put his head on top of that bead of your shotgun, or put your broadhead right in the bottom of his neck. But that's when you do that kind of call, just to get him to relax and pop his head up, take your shot. All right. Now, these last two calls that I'm going to recommend you guys to help you out with your turkey hunt is, if you're walking around the woods, what you can walk around, I'm not going to say call every like 100 yards if you're walking through the woods. Call every 20 minutes. However far you go in 20 minutes, call. Don't hear anything, keep walking for another 20 minutes, make a call. Now, these two calls here are not turkey. They're going back to kind of like the owl, is a crow call or a woodpecker. Now, a crow call's pretty simple. Everybody's heard a crow out in the woods. Simple again, very easy to use, and that is enough to spook a bird, make him gobble. Now, the next one. This one can almost sound like a really, really fast-paced turkey call, but it's a woodpecker. Woodpeckers, you're going to do, I recommend typically maybe 10 bursts on this, and you'll know what I'm talking about here in a second. And this is enough to spook a bird into gobbling so you can locate him. These are the crow and the woodpecker are locator calls, just so you can find the bird, move on him, then switch over to your slate calls, your diaphragms, and maybe even your box. Whoop. Yeah, it would help if I would blow it from the right end. See? Simple. A little bit more high pitch when you're in an enclosed area, but that's enough to spook a bird, get him to gobble, that way you know where he is. Alright guys, I have one final call that I can recommend you guys. I personally do not use them just because to me there is a risk of essentially calling in another hunter, which there are gobble shake calls. You can use these to mimic a turkey gobble, and sometimes it'll get another male. Preferably is you sound like a Jake, you can draw in that long beard. Now this can work, I'm not saying that it doesn't, but in certain areas when you're hunting on public land, you have to worry about possibly calling in another hunter, depending on how tight quarters the woods are. If they're really tight and you can't really see all the different people moving around, if there's other hunters in the area, you could do the gobble call, and next thing you know, a hunter could come to you, or he could set up, and then when you go to leave, you walk through his area. But that's one other call you can use. I typically don't use them, but it is an option. Alright guys, I hope this video can help you guys out bag your gobbler in the spring, or whatever season you might have in whatever state or country you're watching this in. But I really hope that this can help you. And like I said earlier in the video, go go ahead and drop some comments if you want to know any more information on how to use all the calls that I've shown you today. And I'm fine to give intros on how to do these calls. You guys just gotta comment and let me know. And friction calls, if you really want to learn more of those, go back to my video I put up in December. I'm pretty sure, if I remember right, it is Intro to Friction Calls or Friction Calls 101. And you'll be able to find all the key steps and what kind of calls to use in what kind of climate you're in too. But as always, guys, hope you like the video. If you do, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Drop some comments below, like I said, and hit that subscribe button. And along with hitting that subscribe button, hit that little bell next to it so you get notifications on when the newest videos go up and if I post anything in the discussions to find out any more stuff you guys want to learn. All right, guys. I'll see you on the next one. Remember, be safe, shoot straight, and have fun. You want to say bye to everybody, Macy? Come here. And bye from Macy.